Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. So, the vessel has evolved into a vessel. I stitched and stitched and stitched, and I'm really happy with my exterior. So, Little Dragonfly made it. I darkened this label here because it was very white. Let me just zoom out a little bit. It feels like I'm right up in your face just a bit. The stamps in place. What else did I do? I secured all of the lace. I need to find probably a little flower there and a little flower there because the stem just finishes. So I've got to do that before I go too far. I stitched the bunny. Now, Bunny had little pale turquoisey stripes all over him. Probably his eye is close to the colour that was all over him. So I've just stitched. Oh, I forgot that little bit there. Oh, okay, better stitch that too. So I stitched him all, and yeah, really, really happy with that. He's gorgeous. Love him. Great feature. Then I used some of that really pearly thread that I'd picked out, which I've already put away, I think, to stitch the floral elements that were on that piece of fabric. So I just snuck in there with a little feather stitch or fly stitch. Stitched all this down, nothing really changed there, and I did join it because it was late at night and I was stitching and I was like, oh my goodness, I must just keep going, I can't put it down. So sides came together. Remember, I had a bit of overlapping fabric there from the edge of the felt. You can see the stripe here. That was really handy because that crossed through to the second side and gave me something to stitch the two together. Then I end up putting this little piece on to secure a bit of a gap that was here. Then I came back with a bigger piece to secure the fact that there was a seam there and sort of disguise it a little. You can see here where there is the seam, but that's okay. I just didn't want a straight line. I had left this little pale piece of white fabric on as well when I was collaging it all out, and that flapped over. This little spotty one was also dangling. It ended up getting chopped off. And then, yeah, it went together really easily. Now, anticipation, I've pinned the base into position. It went really well. So I'm going to remove that now. So I had like a dreadful thought that maybe my base wouldn't fit in there, but it does. So that will all happen in due course. Now my little base is totally ready because remember I wanted to stitch the doily. So the little doily's in place. So what I need to do today is select a fabric for the lining, and I need about 14 inches. Before I joined it, I did a little measurement of the panel. So I'll just double check that before we get too carried away. So what I might do is sneak my hand in there and just stitch that little bit. It was about 11 o'clock last night that I was mucking around with it, and I didn't want to stop. I was so close to going and filming this episode, and I was like, goodness sakes, girl. Put it down, relax, and go to bed. Which I did after we consumed a packet of chicken crimpies. Just saying, felt snackish. It was a big night of stitching. Just needed a little something. Okay. So just following the artwork. I didn't have to think too much about it because it was just beautiful. So I just stitched away. I did add that as well. There was a bit of a gap there, and I could see the branches of this plant. I presume it's that plant or whatever the shape is there. And it just felt a little bit, I don't know, I didn't want to stitch the plant because I didn't think that suited the design. So I just found, I think I did pick that lace up when I was collaging. So it's all come together, literally come together. Considering it was a rocky start, we don't have that nice slender waist. I've slid the glass jar in and that fits beautifully. I was wondering if I needed to do felt on the inside to help with rigidity. Not at all. Even when that base was pinned on, I came in here and I picked up my little cluster of flowers and they actually stood in the vessel without the glass. Having said that, I just don't know if I was to make another dozen of those. I don't think it would stand. But I love the fact that I've got the option of sliding in the glass canister so that I can even use it for flowers and water. And it slides in and out beautifully. So I'm very happy with it, considering I was aiming for the shape of the vase in video 1. I got the shape really down pat with the tacking of those darts. But when it come to decorating, I would have had to, I think, Swiss cheese these pieces even more to get them to fit into that shape due to the undulating territory of the vase. So I had to abandon that idea. Okay, let me just grab my needle at a better angle. Now I've unthreaded. I need to grab that thread and knot it off. So what was the other thing I was going to do before I started moving to the lining of the vessel? I know there's a couple little labels there that the corners need just a little bit of glue too, I noticed last night. There. Just didn't quite grab. That feels good. That feels good. Maybe a little bit there. Okay. Yep. The flowers, that's what it was. I couldn't think for a moment. What was it? Let me grab my lacy scraps because I believe that lace is in here. Just needs a couple. This looks like I've nibbled off some of the lace and then I've taken that piece and those flowers are missing from the shape. You could just keep going with these little add-on bits. Oh my goodness, you could just keep adding and adding. Okay, so we're going to need Reginald, a nice fine needle. I guess before you stitch it all together, as in the base, and you spot opportunities to add more, at least with these, you can sort of sneak your hand in still and do a little bit more stitching. Might add the bigger flower actually, that'd be a bit cute. So just nibble him out. He may have even been there and I've taken him for another project. Quite possibly. Let's just trim him up. Now, slide him in there. Get Reg, you got a knot, Reg? Yep. See, Reg is such a fine little needle. He can slither through this corded lace really easily. started watching the series Mayor of Kingstown. I think it's Kingstown. It must have slipped under our radar because there's actually 3 seasons. So we were like, "Ooh, what is this?" And it's created, and the executive producer is the same chap that did the Yellowstone. Sheridan's his surname. Is it? Keep thinking it's Hugh, but it's not, because there's a chap on the screen that pops up just after Taylor Sheridan that has the name Hugh. I think it might be one of his co-producers or something. But anyway, so we thought, we loved Yellowstone and all of the spin-off series. So to find this one, it was really good. The first episode was tough to get into. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm stitching. I'm not going to keep up with this, because it sort of flips between lots of characters, setting the scene, I guess, building the story. Episode 2 was better, but I did stop stitching and actually watch it. And episode 3, hooked, absolutely. So it does have a little bit of a slow start for me. Gaz loved it straight away. He was like, oh, this is going to be good. It is violent, and it is at times you go, oh my goodness, I didn't see that coming in violence. But so was Yellowstone a bit, especially some of the characters. And he's definitely got some characters in there that remind me of characters from Yellowstone. It's like, oh, there's his Beth. She doesn't come along till later in the series, but it's like, okay, there's the new Beth. And then there's, layers of bad guys this time, because it's all set around a town, which is a pretty big city. He's the mayor, or takes on the position of mayor, the lead. But he's not actually the mayor, as you would think, as in an elected official. It's the mayor that sort of negotiates between all parties concerned to keep the peace, which means he's got the police in his back pocket, the FBI, the gangs, and there's quite a few gangs, and then there's a mafia, and then there's another really bad guy who seems to have connections to no one yet, but I don't know, maybe he's the mafia and I've misunderstood. And then the whole thing is based around a prison, a very big prison, 50,000 in it, and it's privatised. So therefore, the mayor is also called in at times to negotiate things. Everyone is as corrupt as they come through the whole list I just rattled off that are supposed to be citizens working for all of us. No, they're all corrupt. There's a SWAT team as well. Oh my goodness, they're a pack of lunatics. There's the lead SWAT guy. Oh. Anyway, I guess if you're in a bad situation and the SWAT team's coming in, you'd want this chap coming in, guns blazing. But he's a little bit unhinged, I think. I think there's definitely a story behind him. But the prison anchors the whole show, because everyone on the outside has to be kept peaceful so citizens can survive in this city. And everyone on the outside who's got some invested interest in the prison, either making money from it or their brothers and sisters are in there due to criminal activity, the peace needs to be kept, hence the mayor, who seems to have his finger on the pulse, or when things go awry, he's the man they call to go and talk to everyone and calm the farm. So we've finished season 1. We started season 2, but our friends in Melbourne started playing pinball live via Twitch, and I could see my husband was like, oh, Dave and Ray are playing pinball. I'm like, oh, yeah, righto. It was 11:30, I think, so it would have been a late night if we had have gone into episode 1, season 2. So we put on Dave and Ray, watched them for a little bit. Another mate was over at their pinball shed as well, young Trevor. So they were having a great night playing pinball, having a few drinks. They had the wood fire going. They're up on the Dandenong Ranges, so it was freezing cold. And I'm sitting on the couch here at Burrum with thongs on, jeans to my shins and a t-shirt. And we're complaining, oh, it's cool. I had to put thongs on today. No, it's a slight exaggeration. Slight exaggeration, you know me. Tell a good story. No, I did have a cardigan on and thongs. Haven't yet pulled the slippers out. I think once I might have pulled them out. There we go. We have added some additional flowers to finish that little cluster. We've fixed his ear. We've glued down some little corners that seem a bit... There's another one. I think I'm ready to move to the phase 2, the lining. So what do you think of the new project, volume 6? 3 years we've been all hanging together, stitching with those girls. It's going to be great. I've just finished my journal too. My second Roxy journal from, I think, first season. Yeah, volume 1. I ended up doing 2 because some of the pages or the prompts I stitched twice. And the teacup, which is part of the calendar project, has finished the journal. What am I going to put on the inside? It's going to need 2 pieces because these fabrics aren't. Maybe I'll use some of this apricot. I did say that it's not my favourite, but it might be all right on the inside of the vessel. I'd say I'll need 2 pieces. These are only 10 inch, and I think I worked out I need a 14 inch piece of fabric. So we need to join it and cut it, but if I do that, I'll have 2 strips. So maybe we just add a little piece. No, I'm going to do a join here, 7 inches, and then it joins. So then I've got my seams even. Otherwise, it'd be a 10 inch piece with a seam, a little strip, and a 10 inch piece. Unless I make the strip a different colour, which would look sort of funky when you looked into the piece. And I could use that. There'd be a stripe. No. We're going to keep it uniformed, elegant. We're going to join this. Do that first. I'm thinking we'll do it by hand because, you know, it's slow stitch, isn't it? It'd be great to whip over to the sewing machine and just whiz down that edge and Bob's your uncle, we're done. But no, we're going to stitch it. Maybe I should pause the video. Do you guys really want to see me stitching? I guess I could come up with a story. What's a story? If I got nothing, I will pause. Let me think. What else has been happening around this place? Not a lot. I'm working on my Christmas panels. There's a little bit of snippety news. My pre-printed Christmas imaged panels. I've got 2 that will be released in July, early July, so that you can grab yourself a panel if you are so inclined. And I'm stitching them now to give you some ideas of what you can do with them. I've got a few other announcements to go with it, but I can't say anything yet because I'm still finalising details and everyone is just slow in getting back to me. I would have said something probably sooner if everyone had got back to me. Why is it that you got to follow up all the time with businesses? Doesn't bloomin' heck, it bloomin' frustrates me. I could have done everything, you know, a couple of weeks ago, but no, I'm still waiting on emails and confirmations and just... Anyway, it's all good. So I'm not sure when you guys are actually watching this video because I'm filming this one a little bit in advance. I would say maybe my mate Susanna is with me. Maybe not. I didn't think to look at the diary as I walked in here, and it's still sitting on the couch. That's a crooked little seam, but it's all good. It'll be all gathered and probably puckered a bit in there. It's really to hide my stitching, and it'll help the vase slide in and out easily so that, you know, the vase doesn't put pressure on all my little knots and the stitching. And if I decide to not have a vase in it and the flowers on the... I didn't put my sneaky knot in, so now I've got to thread it again. If the vase holds the knitting needles with the flowers on them okay, I don't want the knitting needles to damage my threads, so it's worth the effort. And then I started doing running stitch, and we want a back stitch because I don't want the gaps. Well, I've got nothing. My needle is not threading easily. How long have we been hanging together? About 20 minutes. I might pause it. I'll get this stitched. I'll trim it to size, get the other side stitched, and I'll come back to you where I'm sliding the piece into the vessel. I think that's what I'll do. All right, guys, back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. So my cylinder has been stitched. I've got my base ready, and all I need to do now is slide this into here and then just fiddle around with it until it fits into position. Should be pretty close to the right size. Might start with the top. Where's the top? Yeah, that's great. So I'll just put a few little black lines showing there from where I drew a line with my ruler. The iron's still on, so I'm just going to touch it with the iron. There we go. I used my friction pen to mark out my square. So I just get some pins. So I've got a couple options for securing the top. Could just do a invisible stitch. Could do an overcast stitch where I go over the top edge. Or I could do a running stitch. Don't know. I like the idea of having it lots of threads and, you know, frayed looking. Maybe I do a running stitch. I usually do an overcast stitch. That's pretty good. Gosh, couldn't have planned that any better. Maybe I'll do a running stitch, I think. Do I do it in a highlight colour, like something bold? Yeah, I might. Let's be bold. I'm really enjoying this orange. It's probably because I don't use a lot of orange, so I'm enjoying the splash of colour in a toned down way. Okay, so let's have a look at a running stitch. If we don't like it, we can always do something else. I'll just make that go down a little bit. Feels like you're a little high there. It might bite me at the bottom when I haven't got enough fabric. There, that feels a little bit better. Okay, so bury the knot. And then go around with the nice running stitch. This will take a little bit of time. It'll probably be a bit quicker than doing. Keep an eye on the back because it's a highlighted thread. It'll look pretty poor, I think, if it's too messy in behind. It's going to be a little bit freeform, as they say. At least everything lines up and it fits. Pretty happy with that. So that's the plan for the top edge. That's going quite well. Happy with the, it's a little bit crooked, but that's okay. Don't want it too crooked, but you know, here's a pin, get rid of him. He's done his job. I had to show you the label. Now, I don't know if you read the comments from the first video, but Vanessa said that these little elements that she gifted me, the vintagey ones plus the garden ones, were all Kath Holden, which I did click to, I think, in the second video. So I've couched an orange around the outer edge just to bring a bit of orange into the project. And then I cut my hole and I did the button stitch, which I pretty much did talk about on the last video. So that is going to be just attached to my vessel. Flowers from the garden. It sort of all works. I really like the little images that were the seed packets. Maybe there'll be something another day. Just couldn't quite work them into the project. There was a lot of things going on and not enough space for everything. Will I make another vessel? I don't know. So I had a look at the calendar as I walked back to the room to sit and do this section, and it is the Wednesday, the day before I get Susanna and her husband from the airport. So I don't know if we'll get another vessel made. If I do, it would have to be filmed, you know, like in the next few days. I'm about a week before you guys. And I am working busily on Botanical Beauties, the July prompt, so that's sorted too. So I just don't know if I'll have time for another vessel. We'll see. Primitive Rabbit usually pops up at the end of the month when I have some gaps. It's sort of my go-to project when I've finished my Roxy project. Hello, Fudge. I found out there's a craft market coming at the end of June. Well, mid-June. I think it's about the 15th or 16th of June as well. At the local hall. And a lady I've got to know in the area, she has a stand there and she's working with denim and makes bags. And she was in a fluster. She said she's got so many guests coming up from Brisbane to holiday that she is feeling like she's a little bit behind in getting her stock up for the craft store. So I'm looking forward to going down and seeing what the local girls have for sale and what they're making, and be really good. It's only probably about 5k from my house, and there's a nice bakery in town, so you know how it goes. Coffee, a cherry Danish. Visit the local craft store. You know, another thing I'd love to do for you guys is actually show you some footage of my little town, my little coastal town. Maybe I should do a video with a bit of a guided tour of downtown Burham Heads. Yeah, that'd be a bit of fun. It's actually a beautiful day today. It'd be nice to go for a drive. Maybe I'll do that. Get Gaz to drive while I yibby yabba to you on my phone. Stay tuned. Oh, now I'm going to have a bit of competing colours here. It is getting a little puckered. Oh no, it's sitting all right. I'll just go straight through there. Don't go and change your technique. You're doing stab stitch from front to back. If you really wanted to keep your lines nice and straight, you could draw yourself, say the 1/4 inch line, draw yourself a bit of a black friction pen line, and then when you're coming through from the front, you hit the line and it would look really schmick then. But I'm not too worried if I'm a little bit crooked. I think a lot of it too is keeping your, I nearly said pencil, your needle straight. So when you're going through your fabric, it's nice and straight. When you do the rocking forward with the needle, as in you go in and then like that and like that, you'll always get a smallish stitch on the back. That's not too bad, but it's probably because I've been doing it a little while. But that one there is definitely getting small. I might actually utilise those stitches. I find that the one at the back is tiny compared to the one at the front, and it's because your needle is doing this. To get it right, you really need that needle to come out straight, go in straight. Hence why sometimes it's just best to do one stitch at a time. Okay, we're done. My mate asked me if I was interested in putting a stall down there at the craft market and selling, you know. And I was like, oh my gosh, when do I have time to make inventory to sell? Just don't. If I did, I would have it available to you guys. But, oh my goodness, I'd need a team of stitches. I think it would take the fun out of it for me, the enjoyment I have of doing the videos and being a bit of a free spirit when it comes to, that's pretty good. Now, the trick now is to get my little piece in, and that's the inside. So I'm thinking if I just squish her down into there, making sure that lining is caught as well, and just start pinning. I might do opposite sides, sounds logical. And then ease it in from there. I have already had it in once, like I showed you at the beginning of the video, so I'm pretty confident. I should pin sideways, I think. Pretty confident it will fit. Now we'll go to the 3 o'clock side of my vessel. Sneak that into there, give it a bit of a smoosh. The lining's a little bit low, so I just need to pull it up a little bit. That's better. There's a lot of pressure too when you're making things for sale. You sort of got to find those pieces that appeal to the generic customer too, which can be a little bit boring for you as a maker, especially if it's hair scrunchies or something like that and you're like, oh my gosh, they all sell, yes, but boy, you get sick of making them. And this type of work that we're all doing is probably a bit of a niche customer. I'm putting my sales girl hat on now. So it's about finding that happy medium where you can make something you thoroughly enjoy, unless, of course, you're a hat seller or a bag seller or something. Well, that's fair enough because that's your brand. But if it's general craft items, which you see some store holders that have a little bit of everything, I always wonder how that goes, and then how do they, you know, what becomes their seller? What's their hot seller? And then does that hot seller become just a bloomin' drudgery? Now, I'm thinking I might do a bit of an overcast stitch at the bottom here. Oh, maybe I could get a running stitch in. Just don't know. It's not like it's got to hold water, girl, so it doesn't need to be a sealed vessel. It would suit if it was the same top and bottom, I guess. That's pretty good. A bit puckery there, but I think that will settle when I, you know, start getting it in. And it might be because that pin is sitting the wrong way. Yeah, that's better. And I've got to have that little apricot insert up. It's probably a little bit neat there. It will work, but it's probably an 1/8 of an inch would have made sure it was popping out the top. But I think that's okay. Okay, now I think I will do overcast stitch, because if I do, no, we'll try running stitch. Let's have another go. And then I was thinking, I think in the last video I mentioned that a bulb pin might be the way that I attach this little guy. I did want to put some twine in him as well. Don't want too much fabric chewed up into the seam because it'll have a pointy bottom then. So I need to just catch it all. Can be more generous on this side, but this side needs to be right on that. There we go. It's working. I'm surprised at how much structure it has. I was a bit concerned at the beginning of the process that it would stand, but it has. It's, goodness me, hang on a minute. But like usual, the more you add and the more texture you add and then stitches, like quickly a piece of slow stitched fabric becomes quite dense. Really happy with the colours. They're not really my colours. Having said that, I did buy that pack of fabric, so they must have caught my eye. Maybe it's because they're a little bit different, sort of building up colour in my stash. But I'm really happy with it, and I think what anchored it was the bunny. having that. I can see more projects in the future based on this colour wave. It's very pretty. An apricot and grey and the turquoisey green is sort of not a colour scheme I would naturally probably put together if I went into a fabric store and started pulling fabric from the shelf to create my own. But it really works. Very clever. That's the beauty of picking up a fabric pack. Even like those layer cakes, 10 inch by 10 inch, they're expensive. They really are. But if you pick them up on sale, you get a lot of fabric. But if you can pick up a charm pack, you get like a little snippet of a few colours and fabrics and designs, and that's perfect for what we're doing. You don't need a lot. You could be chewing out a charm pack for years doing slow stitch projects, especially if you're adding other elements as well at some point. This is coming together. Yay. There we go. And Mr. Bunny, I love him. He's great. It's nice when you've got a nice feature piece that kicks your project off. That's another thing. When you're buying fabrics for your stash, always go through the area in the store where they might have birds, butterflies, things like that, floral prints, and just have a look at the designs, because sometimes you'll pick up some random things in there and you're like, wow, that bird would be great to stitch. He would be a good size for a feature on a project. Where's the apricot lining? Where are you? Get back down there. Oh, there it is. It's all good. Thought it had dropped right down. It certainly has pulled down a bit. My length must be a little bit out, I'm thinking. Looks all right inside for a squishy fabric vessel, vase for flowers. I love the fact that my vase fits in there, guys. Oh, this is going, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go buy myself a bunch of flowers today. Where am I going to get a bunch of flowers in Burrum? If there is a photograph of a beautiful bunch of flowers, or even a scraggly bunch of flowers, at the end of this video, that means I was successful. I went out for a drive and found myself a bunch of flowers for my vase. Where's that little apricot guy? You are slipping down. Come back here, you little slippery. Gotcha. Yeah. So if there's no flowers in the vase other than the fabric ones, you know, the girl didn't find any flowers. She would have to go further afoot. There might be some at the local service station. You know, sometimes they sell flowers. And you need to slip into the chemist and pick up a script for the husband. Maybe, and that's in the forecourt or to the side of the local service station. Maybe they sell flowers. We've got an IGA food, no, it's a Foodworks, I think. They might have flowers, but I don't know. I've never noticed them. We'll see. There you go. I've got a challenge. Can I find myself a nice bunch of flowers? My gerberas are growing really well at the front door. Hang on a minute. My gerberas are growing really well at the front door. I could probably cut some gerberas, but then my front door won't look pretty. I'm really enjoying seeing those beautiful hot pink and white flowers blooming, and there's probably only 4 flowers, which is not really a bunch. If I can't find a bunch of flowers, I'll also add a photo of the gerbras. That's what I'll do. I'll definitely add the gerbras because they look great. And there's some baby petunia seedlings, hot pink ones, planted just in front of the gerbras. So the gerbras were quite big. They were, oh gosh, I tell you, I probably mentioned them before. I was at Bunnings picking up some supplies, some plants, and more soil pots, you know, the whole palaver that's going on here. So I create a garden. And at the front door on these huge racks, they had heaps of these potted gerbras, advanced plants, flowering like crazy. Look at me, look at me. And there was a hot pink double and a variegated white and pink one. And I could not decide, and these plants looked amazing. It was like impulse shopping at the grocery store when there's chocolates at the counter. I had purchased everything I need. Everything was well thought out. There was no excess. Everything had a home to go to when I got home to the garden. And here were these things. And I bought 4 because petunias were going to be in the pot at the front door. So I've planted gerbras in there and put the 4 little petunia seedlings, which are tiny, they've grown a little bit now, in the pot in front of them. So I got instant colour and bam, there they are. And they've actually been quite good because they soon tell me if the pot needs water. Gerbras are very emotional, I've decided. They hang their head when they're dry and sad. They pop their heads up and look to the sky when they're happy and watered and everything's moist. And then they follow the sun all day. So they're like, look at me, I'm over here now, I'm over here. Like I said to my husband, they're like got personalities, these little plants. All right. There we go. Pins are out, stitched in. Vessel is complete. Oh, and there's, look, you can see inside to the little crochet doily in there. Love it, love it, love it. I'm glad I did that. It sort of makes it look like it's together. In goes the vase insert. Just fits nicely and it's snug. We don't have a waist, but we'll get over that. In goes my pre-made flower blooms, right up in your camera there. Look, ready for more. Now this, actually, you know what I could do? I could do that. Oh, look at that. Make it part of the blooms. It's the card. It's the wishing you all the best. Hope you love the flowers. Love it, love it. What will be interesting is as I make more flowers, will the vessel hold on its own accord? And then some of you suggested putting some marbles in the bottom, glass marbles to raise it up. Great idea. Excellent. Okay, I think I'm going to call this project finished. I'm going to snip off a few of these threads. It's just a little bit too fraying for me, and I like fraying. So just give you a little haircut. I won't be touching it as much now that it's completed, so that should... Oh, I love that. Bunny. Beautiful bunny. There we go. Done. I'm calling it completed. All right, I might grab a photo of this as you see it now, and then if there's a vase with flowers in it and this, we'll see. I can't imagine there'll be a big, beautiful bunch. They might be a little bit on the They're service station or gas station flowers. So, we'll see. And I will also include a photograph of my gerbras. All right, guys. Look after yourselves. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.